All right, today we're going to dive into this incredible story of survival and, believe it or not, brilliant political strategy. It all goes down inside the ancient Persian Empire, what we know today as Iran. Now, it's a story you might think you know, but trust me, there's a much bigger picture.
And it all starts with this question. Do you know the story of the Jewish queen of ancient Iran? Her tale is, hands down, one of the most dramatic stories of courage you'll ever hear, and it's right at the heart of what we're talking about today. So who are we talking about? Her name was Esther. Just think about this. She was a Jewish orphan who, against all possible odds, rises to become the queen of Persia. And right at the moment of a massive crisis, she literally risks her life to stop a plot to wipe out her entire people.
Okay, so let's set the stage a bit. While Esther is our way into this story, she was part of a much larger cast of characters. You've got these powerhouse Persian kings like Cyrus and Ahasuerus, and then you have these crucial Jewish leaders like Zerubbabel, who, by the way, was a descendant of King David's royal line. All of them are playing a role in shaping the destiny of the Jewish people during this super critical time. Now, to really get a sense of the scale here, look at this number, 127. That's how many provinces Esther's husband, King Ahasuerus, you might also know him as Xerxes I, ruled over. His empire stretched all the way from India to Ethiopia. I mean, this was a massive multicultural superpower, and the Jewish people were living scattered all throughout it. So the stakes could not have been higher. The king's right-hand man, this guy named Haman, had cooked up a secret plot for a state-sanctioned genocide. Esther's only play was to go to the king without being called for, which was an offense punishable by death. But her gamble paid off. The plot got exposed, her people were saved, and this incredible rescue is still celebrated today in the Jewish festival of Purim. It is an absolutely amazing story of heroism, right? But what if I told you that Esther's brave move, as crucial as it was just one piece of a much larger, two-front strategy for national survival? Because at the exact same time that Esther was navigating the treacherous politics of the Persian palace, a completely different but equally vital mission was happening hundreds of miles away. And here's the key. The survival of the Jewish people wasn't just riding on one thing. It was this dual effort. On one side, you had the physical, boots-on-the-ground restoration of their homeland in Jerusalem, and on the other, you had the political protection of the diaspora, the huge majority of people who lived outside that homeland. So let's look at that first track, the mission to rebuild. This was all about reestablishing a national and spiritual center after being in exile for decades.
You know, this was not a quick project. It kicked off way back in 538 BC when Cyrus the Great, the founder of the Persian Empire, made this stunning announcement allowing the Jews to go home. The work continued under several different kings, with leaders like Zerubbabel rebuilding the temple, and then decades later, Nehemiah rebuilding the city's protective walls.
And this guy, Zerubbabel, he was absolutely key. He was appointed by the Persians themselves, but he wasn't just a governor. He was a direct descendant of Israel's royal family. He had the political and the spiritual authority to get the most important project done, rebuilding the temple. Okay, and here is where the story gets really mind-blowing. The prophet Isaiah actually named Cyrus the Great by name as the guy who would authorize this rebuilding about 150 years before Cyrus was even born. I mean, think about that. An incredibly specific prophecy that came true in every detail. But that whole rebuilding effort, that was only track one. What about all the people who didn't go back to Jerusalem? Well, that brings us to track two, and right back into the world of Queen Esther.
This is so important to understand. Only a fraction of the people, a remnant, actually went back. The vast majority stayed right where they were, living and working as citizens of the Persian Empire across all those 127 provinces. Their safety was a totally separate and equally urgent problem to solve.
And this is why Esther's story is so much more than just a standalone drama. Her becoming queen wasn't some lucky coincidence. It placed a Jewish advocate at the absolute highest level of power, giving her the influence she needed to protect every single Jewish person living inside the empire. So now, when we put the two pieces together, we can finally see the full picture. It wasn't one strategy or the other. It was a coordinated plan for the survival of one people moving along two parallel paths at the same time. So here's how it worked. Part 1, restoration. You have leaders like Zerubbabel focused on physically rebuilding the homeland. And Part 2, protection. You have leaders like Esther securing the safety of everyone scattered abroad. Two totally different missions, but with one single goal. And this is the ultimate takeaway. Think about it. Without the restoration in Jerusalem, the people might have lost their national and spiritual identity. But without the protection in the diaspora, the majority of the population could have been completely wiped out. One plan without the other was incomplete, but both of them, working together, ensured their survival. And that leaves us with this huge question, one that really echoes through history. What's more essential for a people's survival? The hard, physical work of rebuilding a home, or the delicate political art of preserving your identity and staying safe inside a giant global empire? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.